Hi, this is Chris from Clever Unicorn Games and the Unicorn Collective, back with another interview. Today I have designer Nezih Savi with me. How are you doing today, Nezih?
Fine. How are you?
Pretty good, and that was take three of me trying to get the intro out, so that's good. So tell me, Nezih, when you are not designing or playing games, what is it you like to do with your spare time?
I think in my spare time, when I'm not playing games that you said, I'm crafting games, like make like dice towers, some like painting figures or something. I think it's a really soothing hobby. Still, it's about games, but in my life, I think I have three major hobbies that I do. Cooking, that I love cooking, and the music. I play the bass and drums. Then those two hobbies that some part of my life that I tend to make them, create them into a job. Like I worked in a fine dining restaurant for about 2 years as a professional like chef. And with the music hobby that I have, I DJ'd in China for a couple of years, and I didn't like the industry, the music. Like it's when it's your hobby and you're just playing an instrument, it's good. But when it's becoming a job, I didn't really enjoy it that much. And cooking is the same. Now I quit cooking for I don't know more than 4 years. I think that I don't cook professionally. Now it's a hobby that I enjoy, fine dining for my wife, just something like that. And gaming is a very nice hobby of mine that I can just relax, play some other people's games, not board games, like on PlayStation, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and all that.
Old
So
school.
yeah, I'm doing lots of things non-related gaming.
No, I think that shows with a lot of games designers tend to have video games as a hobby as well. It seems to be those things go hand in hand. But myself, I play a lot of video games as well as playing a lot of board games. They seem like they go hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah. When I was a kid, my school started at like 1 p.m. and I used to leave house in the morning. And my parents were like, "Where are you going?" And I'm just going to the library. But instead, I was going to the arcade to just play Street Fighter and all the other games. Cool.
Yeah, it's one thing when I never really had an arcade that that kind of game. So I grew up over here in the Isle of Man, and it's a small island, and we had arcades, but they were kind of the arcades, with gambling machines in. So they're
Uh,
mostly, slot machines. They'd have a few little arcade games, but they never had like the up-to-date ones. So we never got until like things like Super Nintendo when that came out, and you could play those games on a console. I really
yeah.
didn't have. I had a Spectrum. Do you remember what a Spectrum was?
The very old computer, right?
Yeah, really old. I had a 1984 one, and it was, it was all like 60. No, it was 8 colors. I think it had on the screen. Maybe not even that. And it was all very, very simple. But that was my gaming early on. I didn't really get arcade games or anything. Even up until like 1990, I was still playing on that Spectrum or a newer version of that Spectrum.
Like monochrome games. Like we had Amstrad
Oh, the
CPC.
CPC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just green and shades of green than just playing games. It
Yeah,
was nice.
when the consoles came around about, well, when I first started with them in like 1990 and a little bit later than that, it was just like a whole new world was opened up, with the six spec. Because I started on the 16 bits, I never really had the 8-bit ones. I started on like the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive, and it was just a whole new world of games came started to come.
Yeah, because the old games that I could play in the arcade, so I could play at home with the Sega Mega Drive, the Mortal Kombat 3. It was just so it was so good.
I remember the original Mortal Kombat coming out, and I had a Super Nintendo, so it was so disappointing because the Sega got all the blood. And in the Super Nintendo, they cut the blood. There was no blood, so it was no blood,
I,
no fatality, so it was pointless.
it was pointless, yeah.
What is your favorite board game?
Uh, it's a really tough question to answer, but usually I would answer that it's Chinatown. It's a 20-year-old game, really easy to teach, and you can teach to non-gamers in 5 minutes. And the game, the things you do in the game, is just limited by players' creativity. Like you can do any kind of deals in the game. It's just up to you. Like whatever you do, the game allows. And that's a game that I really wish that I designed back in the day. It was really good. And the funny thing is, just that designer of Chinatown is not doing any new games, which is interesting and kind of sad because I wanted to, try new games from him. If by favorite game of all time that I can say, because I rarely play board games for fun, because whenever I play a game, I tend to study the mechanics and the theme and how the things work, so I don't enjoy it that much. But Archipelago is a game that I played like 5 days in a row every evening. So that's a really good game.
Yep, played that for the first time just before lockdown, actually, probably about January or February. I played that with somebody I knew had it, and I'd wanted to play it for ages. And yeah, I was blown away. I was really surprised. I loved like pretty much every aspect of it. It was really good.
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm looking for games, more games like Archipelago, but I don't think. Yeah, I'll just keep the Archipelago. I'll just keep playing that.
Yeah, there isn't really. Well, there's none that do it as well. With the hot, especially with the tile placing and the resource gathering of it.
There's a game called March of the Ants.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't played that, but I wanna try that now. It really looks like Archipelago, but just looks
Smaller
like.
scale.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of games or what game inspired you to start making games?
It is another hard question because I've been gaming. It would be a little bit cliche, but I've been gaming all my life, and usually we play like standard playing poker deck and different games that we, as a child, we play like a version of Uno, but with the standard playing deck. And the modern games, they some card games they use the basic mechanics of the 54 cards, and you just add some special powers and some artwork. It becomes a game. And I've been playing lots of different card games, and each country, I think they have their own kind of like cultural card game. Like we have in Turkey, it's called Batak, but it's actually like hearts and bridge kind of mixed. In China, there's just crazy board games. They get mahjong and everything, and all these stuff that I see that make people happy. So I wanna add. I wanna make something that I want to play and just see people enjoying it. So that's why I started off making a different version of Rummy style games with the cards. And my friends and the family they really liked, enjoying the new rules, just the 54 cards. Then I added and added and added on top of the card game knowledge that I have, and now I'm just making card games mostly.
The original deck of cards, that's kind of a classic, an original from long before, games came out. I mean, playing cards have been used for 300 years now in the way that they are, with the suits and everything that they have.
Yeah, it's a French deck. It was just like 100 years, I think.
It was 18th century, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it 18th? No, 19th.
There's
19th.
Italian card game called like Scopa. I think it's 1500s.
But yeah, that's a thing now that and that's people might not associate the fact that all these card games we have now probably wouldn't be around if it wasn't for those playing cards originally being brought out. And card games are it's probably the most certainly the most numerous of in our board game. I mean, most of what we call board games are don't have boards. They are just cards, and that's the thing. It's like the large part of what we play are just card games. Just
Or
they
you can create a board with cards, and it's a still card game, but has a board.
So you've had games that you've created and then you've put out for people to play through print and play. During the creation of those games and getting them out to people, have you hit any hurdles or barriers that you've hit and gone, oh, I don't know what to do here? And then how did you overcome the barrier?
Well, I've got two nice examples for that. One is the shorter one. I wanted to design a war game, but no war in the game. So it's just combat medics just trying to save people as there's just bombs going on. So it just sounded like a good idea, and I designed the first prototype, and I just went over the rules, just taught my friends, and there was it was any excitement in the game. There was no fun. It was just doing that and just, oh, I saved these people from the sniper. It was just okay. So, and people didn't want to, halfway through the gameplay time, and they was just checking their phones. It was like, okay, just ditch this game. I don't want to deal with that game. So I just buried that game, and I have another one. It was a really nice one, which is on Sinners. You have two discard piles, and in the middle there's a draw pile. And when I was designing the game, I wanted the player to discard uh, one card to the other one, and the other one to the other one. If I can explain that, so you discard two cards, but separate discard piles, and to separate them, draw pile is one in the middle, and one discard pile is parallel to the draw pile, and the other one is perpendicular to the draw pile. So I designed that one, and some of the blind testers was like, it was hard to, just which one to do. So more and more player play that way, and one play test, I think it was the fifth play test in a row, and they just don't care where to discard. I'm like, okay, so just let me both discard piles into the parallel to the draw pile, and that fixed the problem.
Oh, so
I just
you can just discard where you want to now. Is that the?
I know I changed one clause in the rulebook that if you discard on one discard pile, and you cannot discard the second discard card on the same pile.
Ah, so if you're discarding two cards, you have to put them on separate piles.
Yeah,
It's funny. It's funny how you say about the parallel and perpendicular. When we're playing Race for the Galaxy, I don't know if you've ever played Race for the Galaxy. I love that game, but because that's a face down discard pile, and because as you're taking them off the pile and then putting them on the discard becomes bigger than the draw pile, you can get
yeah,
confused with those. So we do that with that. So with Race for the Galaxy, we have the draw pile one way and we have the discard pile the other way, so that we understand which one's which. So yeah, is that how where
yeah.
you got it from? If you play Race for the Galaxy?
No, I played like that, but I don't remember. It was, I think, years ago. The Race for the Galaxy. I remember not liking it.
Oh man, best game. Well, one of the best games ever made.
What?
Although I know people that don't like it because of it's very iconography heavy. So it's a game
Yeah,
that's very iconography heavy, so it can be kind of complicated.
too much to learn in icons, because I think designing a game, especially this discard pile thing, if it doesn't come natural to a gamer or a non-gamer, so like if I want to discard this, I want to discard that, like as a natural reaction to the game. So if it's completely new, it's just tough to get in.
Have you ever played a game that well, you've just answered it, Race for the Galaxy. Have you ever played a game that you don't like? You don't have to name it, but you didn't. What was the theme or mechanic, or what was it about the game that put you off it?
It wasn't Race for the Galaxy. Like it's a okay game, but I think I'm sure that you can relate. I don't like social deduction games with no social deduction. Like I really like Battlestar Galactica. It has deduction, but some card games that you played, it's just you just blame a person that because you know she was an angry person in China once and she did something bad to you, and you just blame that in the game. It's just no. The I don't even have to name a couple of games.
The Resistance.
Yeah, you named it.
That's just. I think the Resistance is one of the only games where I definitely won't play it. If somebody says, "Do you want to play it?" I just say no. It's not for me, and it's very rare I'll say that. I think there's two games that I would say that to, and one of them is the Resistance. What are you working on right now? I expect getting. Are you getting Sinners ready yourself, or is a publisher taken over from you on that?
Yeah, it's the publisher. I just proofread the rulebook at the moment, and I just give feedback on the card design, the church design, and the box and everything. And the rulebook writing is just crazily hard. And my publisher says like, I'm gonna write your phone number in the rulebook so people can call you and ask if they cannot understand a rule.
And you say, please don't, please don't, please don't.
I was like, okay, 24/7. I accept all the calls and answer your questions. But that one I just finished working on, so kind of like collaborating with the publisher, just polishing the game. Now I've got two roll and writes, one pick up and deliver, and one animal combat style card game, and one worker placement. Actually, it's on my table like that. It's just the board. This is the board.
There you go. That's that. There's insight into the designer's workshop, showing people the cards with the game written onto them. This is
Yeah.
if you're not from the design world and you're just watching this because you're interested, that's what we do. Little cards with stuff written on them.
Okay, so this is the first one. It just happened. Just reading. Just 2 a.m. in the morning. I just wake up. I need to write this down, and then the later it becomes something like this, and it will evolve something later, maybe.
You seem like somebody that takes after me as well, that likes to have a good looking prototype. I like to have good looking prototypes. I like to make them look as good as I can
Exactly.
without hiring an artist or a designer. I like to get them, even if it means using stock images or whatever to get it to where it is. I like to have something nice looking when
Yeah.
when I'm testing.
Yeah, because just play testers, I think, even myself, I cannot just writings and just do that. So you're just testing the mechanics, yeah, but I'm also testing the theme while I'm play testing. So I just use stock images, whatever I can find it, just put it on. And when the publisher gets it and when you commission for the art for yourself, it becomes even better. So the final product.
What would be one piece of advice you would give to a new designer thinking of getting into the business?
Well, I could say just play lots of games. Just keep playing games. Don't say no to a gaming offer if someone invites you to let's play this game. Just play at least once every game, and just make a prototype. Just put it on the table. Try to tell other people that what your game is. Make mistakes. Make lots of mistakes. And I know that people, because it happened to me, people say just fuck this game. Your sell sheet looks like just my. I literally have this comment on one of my sell sheets that like 8 people just commented on Reddit, so I can maybe find it still. They said, just, "Oh, my eyes are bleeding. What a shitty design this." And that day, I felt really shitty. I was like, "Should I just quit this shit?" Then my wife's just like, no, just I believe because they haven't played your game. They just look at the design and they just say this shit. And just now it's picked up by a publisher. So believe in your game, make something, choose a theme that you're passionate about. For me, is religion. Make a game about it and just get it out. Just get people to play your game.
Yeah, I had somebody say they want to burn my game, so that's there you go. They actually put in a review that it was so bad they want to burn it or throw it away. But do you want to hear the story behind that game? I have. Where is it? Where is it? So
uh,
they put the review onto Board Game Geek saying that they hated it. So initially they just said they didn't like the game. So we gave him a refund. Let him keep the game and we give him a refund. The next day he goes on and edits it and says, "I thought I'd give it another go, and it's even worse. I want to burn it or throw it away." But then he goes and puts it up for sale on the Board Game Geek marketplace. And I thought, I'm not having that burnt, so I bought it back. That has come all the way from Finland, rescued from being burned.
like I people forget that how much work just get into one like piece of box. A lot of like artists, game design, and publishing, lots of amazing effort into some like finished product, and they just like, eh. amateur. I don't like it. I would just respect the work at least, or just give some feedback that is constructive.
Yep, you've got to understand that not everybody likes everything. So yeah, there are going to be
Mm,
people that don't like, even if you've got the best game in the world. So for instance, something what's at the top? Pandemic. Pandemic's one of the top games ever made.
yeah,
I don't like it. You know, it's
yeah,
not. I'm not a big fan of cooperative games, and the first time I played it, we beat it quite easily, and
yeah,
I think we just got lucky with the way the cards came out, and because of that, it kind of put me off it as well. And but it's one of the best voted games in the world, and I can
yeah,
understand why. I can see why people like it, but that's you've got to understand that people, not everybody is going to like what you make. You know,
yeah,
it's just a way of the world.
yeah, exactly. I hate co-ops. Like I've never even played one co-op game that I liked. Maybe semi-co-op that I can do.
Nemesis, yeah, Nemesis and Battlestar Galactica. They're two that I will play. You know, cooperative I'm not a big fan of, but because they are not fully cooperative,
Yeah,
I like. Well, thank you very much for coming and talking to me today, Nezzy. This has been brilliant.
thank you for having me.